Hello, I am Crystal Petrie, and you are watching another episode of my podcast, 60 Minutes With. Today's guest is David Hepburn Jr., and he is going to educate me and educate you on how to make your business a success, whether that is a nonprofit, a small, medium, large business, or even a for-profit. He is giving us tangible ways to increase our bottom line. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure you subscribe to my podcast right now. So, welcome to the podcast, David.
Thank you so much, Crystal. This is wonderful.
Yes. So, where in the world are you?
I am in Arizona, in the Valley of the Sun,
Okay.
area, and I've been here for about 28 years.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you are a mentor and a business coach. I'm so excited that you are on this podcast, David, because I feel like everyone who's in business, whether it's in business for themselves or they're working for someone else, needs a business mentor and a business coach. Would you agree?
Oh, I would definitely agree, and everybody can benefit from that. The thing to remember is that most people, especially when they start out their new business, they know what they do. So they know how to do what they do, but they don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to get new clients. And
Mhm.
so you need to set up the foundation to any business in being able to do that.
Excellent. Can you tell me what exactly is business coaching?
So, well, there is a distinction between business coaching and business mentoring. And business coaching is when somebody comes alongside you and works with you on specific aspects of your business where you need help. Now, a lot of other coaches, they have a box that they put you in and
Mhm.
they make you do all these other things that you may already know. I don't work that way. I find out what you do best and what you don't do best. And then what we do is we work on the things that need to be improved.
Okay. And I'm assuming you do that just by sitting down, speaking with them.
Yeah, I have processes that we can go through. And before somebody becomes a client, they actually need to, um, how do you say, they need to apply. It's not just I take anybody
Hmm.
because, first of all, you need to be committed to growth. A lot of times people say,
Absolutely.
well, I'm not committed. I can't help you if you're not committed. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing is to understand that a coach will help you see the things that you don't see and help you do the things that you don't do so you can grow your business to be all it can be. And a business mentor is different. A business mentor is more behind the scenes and saying, well, this is a good suggestion, this is the way to go, and not so like on the sidelines coach.
Okay. I will say, let me just stop right here and say how you, David, helped me with my podcast. So you and I have been trying to have this podcast with you for several months. We've had to reschedule, a couple times because of me. So thank you so much for your patience and your understanding. But when I first spoke with you, I want to say maybe March, April, May, somewhere in
Yeah.
there of 2024. And we were talking, and I was telling you about the podcast and being really passionate about it. And you stopped me like in the middle of my conversation, my spiel, and said, "You are doing your introduction wrong." And it gave me pause. I was like, did I say something wrong? Did I say something incorrect? And you said, you need to say your name first. Because
Absolutely.
before I spoke with you, I was saying like all this other stuff, and then my name will be the last thing that I said. And you said, Crystal, you need to say your name first and give yourself ownership of this podcast that you are producing, directing, writing, editing, and putting together. And you said, David, there is ownership in that power. There's ownership and power in saying your name first. And it had never occurred to me
Well,
that I
Chris,
was doing.
when we talked, you were so passionate about what you were doing, and you were introducing other people to your circle of influence, but
Yes.
you weren't saying anything about you.
Yes.
And in the ownership of what you do, that's where you can expand your business. See, and if people just come to listen to whoever you're interviewing, you're not getting the value out of what you do.
Mhm.
And that's why I said that at that time.
Yes. And I need you to know, David, that I have applied that lesson. So every podcast that I have done since I spoke with you all those months ago, the first thing I say is, hello, my name is Crystal Petrie. I take ownership in it and I take power in it. So thank you very, very much. And
My
I will
pleasure.
say, just from, we haven't done like a business coaching mentorship, but those minutes, 10, 15 minutes that we spoke, you completely changed the way I think and the way I operate. So if that is any indication of how great you are of a business coach and mentor, I give you thumbs up. I give you 5 stars, David.
Well, thank you so much, Crystal. And I'm hoping that our time today, I'll be able to express some ideas that maybe people haven't thought of to get
Yes.
them thinking. Because there's nothing new under the sun.
Hmm.
There's just things that we see differently.
Yes.
And the way that you were doing your podcast before, it was great, but then you weren't able to take ownership. Once you took ownership, then that raised to the podcast level and raised your level higher. So that's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so who do you think needs a business coach? Like, I know you said, not everyone would qualify, but who do you think needs a business coach? Which is a very broad question, I know.
Yeah, I guess I'll answer that question this way. Almost everybody can benefit from having a business coach. Now, there are some people that won't ask for help. And, those people don't really exist in my world. They're the part of the 30% that'll never do, business coaching.
Hmm.
It's anybody who wants to improve in an area where they're lacking. And see, the biggest challenge with that, Crystal, is that people don't like to say, well, I'm not good at this. I need help.
Hmm.
And so, as a coach, when you're working with somebody on a regular basis, they're able to say to you, have you thought about this? What do you think about this? Have you tried this? And the relationship is what makes it work. And that's why I don't work with everybody.
Okay.
Because we have to have a good relationship. And there are some people that are uncoachable. I mean, I've had clients before that have signed up with me and paid me a lot of money. I had to send them their money back because no matter what we did, they wouldn't do it. And if you're not going to take the suggestions and do them, I mean, why are you paying me, right?
Right. So, what would you say are some characteristics, if you will, just piggybacking on what you were just talking about, of what a good coach client relationship would be? And I understand that you would answer that from your point of view, and it could be different for someone else. But from
Yeah.
your point of view, David, what would you say are some good characteristics that a client needs to have that successful relationship with the business coach?
Well, they need to be a lifelong learner. Just because you're not going to school anymore doesn't mean you stop learning. That's the first one. The second one is they need to spend half hour to an hour a day working on the business, not working in the business. And there's a huge difference. When you're working on the business, you're learning things that other people are doing. You're figuring out how to do things better, as opposed to just doing the business. And the idea is that you commit to working on the business.
Okay.
And once you figure that out, and you have systems that you can apply in your business, all you have to worry about is the systems to make sure they're going the way that they need to go. You don't need to worry about the whole business, just worry about the systems that make the business grow.
Okay. And what are some other characteristics you would say a good client needs to have a successful relationship with the business coach? I know you said they need to be a lifelong learner.
Work on the business,
Mm-hmm.
not in the business. They got to be able to have fun.
Yes.
If you're not having fun, you need to find a different job, okay? Or you need to do something different, because life's too short. And I'll make a bunch of jokes, and if you don't laugh at my jokes, well, then you're no fun. But the whole idea is you were put on this earth to do something. You need to find out what that something is. And if you don't do that something, the world will never see it because it was assigned to you.
Wow, I never thought about that like that, David.
I've been doing this since 1998. And before that, I was a marketing consultant. I had a promotions business and a marketing business. And that was all good. I made money. It was okay. But this is what I was meant to do.
How do you know, and I'm asking specifically of you, how do you know this is what you were meant to do?
Well, if we can turn the recorder off, I'll answer that. I would do this for free.
Okay.
And because the way that I coach, it's really easy for me. That's another thing that when you're doing what you're supposed to do, everything flows,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really easy. And so, because I've been through so much running my businesses, there usually isn't an issue that I haven't come up against before.
Right.
And so when one of my clients is facing it, I can say, well, this is what I did. How does that work with you? That you feel like you could do it that way?
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you are not doing this for free. Are you taking on new clients currently, David?
I am.
Okay.
I just finished a 2.5 year run with one client, which opened up a spot. So I am taking new clients now, and most of my clients work with me anywhere from 9 months. This last client was 2.5 years, and so I feel that if I can't teach you everything I know in 9 months, I'm a lousy teacher or you're a lousy learner.
Oh, okay.
So, after a certain point, then it's just more maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
because the business is running so well.
If someone who is listening wants to speak with you about being their coach, about being their mentor, or just really get more information from this podcast, how could they do that? Do you have an email address, a website, a phone number that you want to give out?
I think the easiest way, um, you can find me on Facebook, David Hepburn Jr. Uh, you can also find me on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, I go into more on how I work with people.
Okay.
And so if on LinkedIn you just look for David Hepburn Jr. Excuse me. And then ask to be a friend. We can start a conversation that way.
Okay.
I usually don't like to give out emails and phone numbers on podcasts because most people don't have a pen and paper ready to write it down.
Right, right.
And so rather than spend the time going through all that, you know, I find an easy way, go to Facebook, find me there, or go to LinkedIn, um, and we can start a conversation that way.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. What are some tools that you think people need to be doing or need to be using or some strategies that can help people stay accountable and get best results from their company?
Well, that's a big question. um, my theory on business growth
Okay.
is that personal development always precedes business development. So if your business is stuck or is not growing the way you want it to grow, there's something that you need to learn to get it to grow.
Okay.
Because as you grow, the business grows. And most people think it's all about strategy and tactics. It's really not. It's all about what your mindset is about growing the business. And if you don't believe that you can grow the business, you're not going to grow the business. And that's where personal development really comes in. And what I've been finding, the more I've been doing this, is that you really have to be on board with the personal development to be able to see the leaps that most people want to make. I mean, these guys talk about 10x or 2x or your business, but you're not going to do that if you're not ready for that. If you're personally not ready for that, then it's never going to happen.
Now, to me, I feel like some of the things that you've been talking about with the people that don't ask for help, people that may or may not work on themselves personally, I would consider those limiting beliefs. How does someone break that cycle of that thinking? I don't need help. I don't need to work on myself.
If I had the answer to that, I wouldn't be doing this podcast because I would be so rich because I'd help so many people.
Yes.
You know, everybody is unique and everybody has a different reason for doing what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not one answer for that. For me, whenever I feel like I'm getting stuck, I go back to the basics and look at my business. Okay, how do I get clients in? What do I do once they get in? How do I move them through? And when I go back to the basics, it kind of cleans out all the crap.
Okay.
Um, if people are unwilling to learn, they will never grow their business. Now the overnight success is a myth. that band that you love, it just bursts on the scenes, has been playing in bars for 15 years. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, your business is no different. Now, can you scale your business and grow fast? Yeah, you can. But you have to have the right mental makeup to do that and the right person helping you to do that.
As a business coach, David, do you help and do business coaches help with the personal and the business?
That's a great question. A lot of times people think I'm a life coach. And my snide, sarcastic remark to that is I don't give a damn about your life. I only care about your business.
Okay.
However, when you're dealing with a solo business owner, his business is his life. And so if the kids are acting up, if the relationship with the wife is not 100%, there are issues where I have to deal with it. Now, I have a psychology degree, so I feel qualified to be able to do that, but don't come for me for life help.
Okay. You know, I hear it all the time, and I'm sure you do, David, as well, about keeping business and personal separate. But really, is that possible? Is it possible to actually keep business and personal separate?
For me, no. Now, maybe other people may be able to, put their business in the box and leave it. Um, I find I get more ideas on how I can help other people grow when I'm out for a walk or when I'm in a shopping mall and I see something. I think, oh, well, that might work. Um, so for me, I'm always thinking about how can I do business better. I think most small business owners are that way. You have to carve out time for family. And I don't believe in this 50-50 of 50% work and 50% family and fun and that kind of stuff. It, it's untenable. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
However, if one week you spend 80% of your time working on your business, the next week you need to spend 80% of your time with the family. See, so you spread it out over 2 weeks or a month or however you do that, to make sure that the family is getting the equal treatment, but it's never 50-50.
Right. What would you say, or what piece of advice would you give to someone who's listening that they are getting ready to start a small business, whether that's nonprofit or for profit? What should be the first thing they need to do?
All right, ready?
Yes.
Think bigger.
Please explain.
Most people think, okay, I'm going to quit working for the man. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to make a little money. I'm going to be happy. Blah blah blah. Why? Why not think as big as you can? I don't know how many listeners you have regularly on this podcast,
Mhm.
but what if you had 1 million listeners for this podcast?
Yes.
Most people don't think big enough. And along with that, most people don't charge enough.
Okay. So let's dive into both of those questions. I mean, both of those points, David. Do you think people don't think big enough because of fear? There's a fear there.
Part of it is fear, part of it is not knowing to think big enough because they've been taught this is the amount you should have, and so go for that. Well, who made up those rules? You know, I want to make up my own rules if it's my business, right?
Right.
So instead of making what I was making when I was working for somebody else, how about if I'm making double when I work for somebody else? But see, people don't think that. They think, okay, if I can replace my income here, that's good. Okay, well, congratulations, but why not double it? Why not 10x it?
Yes. Okay. And then you talked about they don't charge enough. How do you know how much to charge?
Well, every industry is different.
Okay.
However, I could guarantee you that 95% of the small business owners don't charge enough. And the reason is they think that they'll get clients if they don't charge their value.
Do you think that is more of a female issue, a male issue, or both?
Both, both. I had a client that I worked with for a year. He he has a party band.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I did when I started working with him is doubled his fees, and he freaked out. Nobody's gonna hire us. Nobody's gonna hire us. Well, that year he doubled his income with the same amount of gigs. So he did the same amount of work and he doubled his income simply by raising his fees because the value he provided when at what he was charging before was way over. But
Wow.
he couldn't in his own mind, and this is another point that's really important. You are not your customer.
Okay.
So what you would pay for something is not what your customer will pay for. See, and he had in his mind, well, nobody's going to pay, you know, $4,000 for a band because he wouldn't pay $4,000 for a band, but his customers would.
Yeah.
So the whole idea, and most small business owners, if they doubled whatever they're charging, they might lose a client or two, but they're going to make it up in the income anyway.
Yes.
See, so the fear of losing a client is part of that. But once you understand your value to the client,
Mm-hmm.
how valuable are you to the client? Am I worth $10,000 a month to a client? Maybe. But if
Yes.
I don't think that way, I'm never going to say, well, this is what my fee is.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will say, well, okay, I'll charge $500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same amount of work getting somebody to say yes at $10,000 as it is at 500.
Do you think so? Seem like it would be an easier sale at 500.
It's an easier sale at 10,000 because those people understand your value. They know what you're going to do. The $500 people, they want everything.
Yeah.
$10,000 people, they want what you give them and they're happy to get it. But the $500 people, well, I want you to do this and this and this and this, and well, I don't do those things. Well, you see, so the $500 client is not worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be worth your time either. The
Yes.
whole the whole idea is your value, and you set your value. The world doesn't set your value. So if you say I'm a $10,000 a month person, the world says you're a $10,000 a month person. But if you say I'm a $500 a month person, the world's not going to say no, you're a $10,000 person. If you say yeah, you're a $500 a month person.
How do you feel about negotiating? Just piggybacking on a lot of what you have been talking about, David, like, you will charge the $10,000. We'll go with that number. And then someone comes back and says, well, that's too expensive. Do you go back and say, well, let's get together on another number that might be more affordable for you? Or do you just say, thank you for your time, I appreciate it, and move on to the next customer?
Great question. And I handle it differently based on the client.
Okay.
If it's a client I want to work with, what I will say, first of all, in the program that we put together, what do you want to take out for me to lower my price?
Okay.
So see, all of a sudden they say, oh, you mean I won't be getting something if I'm paying and they start to understand the value. So, and I'm happy to do that with some people, but the people who want to negotiate may not be my client, my ideal client, and when you hire somebody who is not your ideal client, you pay for it over and over and over again.
Definitely.
I can tell you've had a few of those. So
yes,
you know what?
Pay for it with your time, with your energy, with your passion, and you do not get your return on investment.
Exactly. And then they're not happy and they complain. And yeah, no, I've been there, and I've learned to segment those people out, and I'll refer them to my competition.
Will you?
Sure. Let my competition be tied up with this loser client.
Yes. Yes.
In fact, here's another important point for your listeners. At the end of every year, you need to fire your bottom 20% clients.
What? I thought like the key to business was repeat clients.
Yes, but your bottom 20%, what are they doing?
Paying?
Well, they're also demanding a lot more. They're not your ideal client, so they're not happy with what you do. You have to redo everything, and you spend all your time making those 20% happy.
Okay.
So I say fire them, but do it nicely, and then refer them to your competition.
Wow. That is something I like. This is such a great podcast, David. You are talking about stuff that I've never heard of, number one. And number two, like, I'm feeling fearful of the stuff that you're saying. Like, it's causing anxiety in me to think about letting go of clients.
When you analyze the time that you've spent on those bottom 20%,
yes,
you see that you're not getting your value, and that's why they're the bottom 20%. See, the top 20% of your clients are 16 times more valuable than all your other clients because they refer you, they don't give you hassle on anything, they do what you tell them to do, and they're happy about it. And so they're 16 times more valuable than all your other clients. So if you fired your bottom 20%, it gives you more time to go after top 20%.
Would you say being in business, whether I'm thinking like being a business owner. So as a business owner, I feel like you really need to be courageous. You need to be bold and be willing to step out of the box.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I, here's a personal issue. There is no box. Okay, the people say, well, you have to get out of the box. Well, there's when you get out of one box, there's a bigger box that you get into. So there's always boxes.
Yes.
But it goes back to, what do you believe about your business? What do you believe about yourself, personal development, and belief that you're worthy of the amount that you're charging. That I find is the biggest challenge for me to get my clients to raise their rates,
Mm-hmm.
because what comes for them, it comes easy. So they think, well, anybody can do that. Well, no, only you can do that, and
Yes.
people will pay for that. And so it's not a matter of, are you good enough, but that's another question that always comes up. Your personal beliefs. Do you believe that you're good enough?
What would you say is the most difficult thing with business coaching? I would assume that it's getting people to change their mindsets, like getting people to change how they think.
I think that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the process that I go through when I'm qualifying people is deciding if these people have a growth mindset or have a fixed mindset.
Okay.
And people with a fixed mindset can't change anything. I can't work with those people. You have to have a growth mindset and be willing to try new things. You know, people with fixed mindset say, "Well, I tried that once, it didn't work." Well, once, okay. Usually, the strategy and tactics that you need to do to be successful, you need to do 100 times, not once. But
Mm-hmm.
there are people stuck with a fixed mindset, and these are the people also that are not learners. People who have a growth mindset are learners, and they're constantly trying to make their business better by them getting better.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope that answered that. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I don't want you to give out your prices unless you, of course, want to, but is hiring a business coach expensive?
Well, what's it costing you now to not hire a business coach?
That's a great question.
See, and what is it that you're looking to get out of from the business coach?
Mm-hmm.
I could charge $50,000, and it may be worth it to one person who's going to
Right.
make $1 million from that. So is $50,000 a lot of money? Maybe, but it
Not if
all,
I'm making $1 million.
let's see that's the trade-off. But most people are stuck in this mindset of, well, I can't spend money. Now, I'm not going to say you have to spend money to make it, but you have to spend money to learn new things. And the idea of a business coach is, he's made all the mistakes, or she's made all the mistakes. So take advantage of that so you don't make all the mistakes as you're growing your business.
Right.
And what's that worth? What's that worth to somebody? See, if because I've been through this issue before, and it cost me $25,000 to get out of it, and I saved my client $25,000, what's it worth to him? So, and the thing about money,
Mm-hmm.
there's an unlimited amount of money in the world,
Yes.
but most people just think there's a finite, and I have to have mine, and the money doesn't work that way. When you put money out, money comes back.
Yes.
And see, once people realize that, the understanding that this is not an expense, this is an investment.
Right. Which goes back to changing the way you think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
See, and if it's an investment, as long as you're getting a return on your investment, well then, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, and different people have different ranges of what's good for them. So I really don't try to put a number on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If they want me to do something that would have cost them $100,000, is it worth it to them to pay 25,000 to get that, to get the knowledge to do it?
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be. How long do you think? And I know you said with your business coaching, business mentorship, you're normally with someone about 9 months. How long should a client stay with a business coach?
I don't know that there's a time frame,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're getting value from the coach. As long as they're still giving you new ideas. I have a client that I've worked with for about 12 years now,
Okay.
and and we're more friends than clients. But earlier this year, I gave him an idea that doubled his business.
Yeah.
And so, and he doesn't pay me anymore. We've been through all that, but we help each other, and it's just one of those things that most of my clients become my friends
Mm-hmm.
because we work so close together. Um, but one thing I don't ever do is get involved with money with them. When it comes to money running their business, they need to get a CPA or an accountant.
Right.
I don't do any of that.
Right. Right.
I just take the money in.
Yeah. Does having a business coach, and I don't know if this has anything to do with the other thing, but does having a business coach help you become a better communicator?
It can, because you spend a lot of time talking with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and words are really, really important. Now, the people, the body language people say, well, words are only 7% of the conversation. But if you use the wrong word in trying to make a presentation, you're not going to get the sale, right?
Right.
So, in learning how to communicate better, um, there we go. You know, like,
Yeah. Filler words, filler words.
exactly. When I moved here, I joined a Toastmasters group, and in that Toastmasters group, there were 8 professional speakers, um, and about 20 who were aspiring,
Mm-hmm.
and there were like 50 people in the group. And I learned so much about public speaking from them that it was worth it. So I would encourage anybody who wants to work on their communications to find a Toastmasters group,
Okay.
um, in the area, and they're everywhere.
What about keeping you honest? Does having a business coach help to keep someone honest?
It may, but if you're not an honest person,
Yeah.
There isn't much that another person can do to make you be honest. Now,
True.
can
True.
can they hold you accountable to what you say? Yes. Now, does that mean that they're going to do what they say? Who knows? But they can hold you accountable. Now, I was talking with a client last week. And I said, well, he was telling me about all the good things he did. I said, that's great. What about this thing? Oh, I haven't done that yet. Okay. All right. Well, then we need to get back on the horse and
Yeah.
and start working on that.
Yes.
And it's not an issue of honesty. I mean, most of the people I work with, I have to trust. So um, I tend to give most people the benefit of the doubt.
Hmm. If someone is looking for a business coach, what are some things that they need to be looking for in that business coach? What are some questions that they also need to ask?
Well, they need to find out whether the business coach actually made the money he said he did,
Hmm.
or whether it's just a front.
Okay.
Because with the online stuff now, it's really easy to put out a different person than who you are.
True.
Um,
Yes.
and I think most of it really comes down to being able to. I'm fortunate because I'm empathic, so I get a deeper read than most people will on other people. But I think most people have a good understanding of if somebody's telling you the truth and somebody's trying to pull your leg.
Hmm.
You know, as long as that person has done what you want to do, then they may fit.
Yeah.
But you want to be sure that the person has had experience in where you want to get to, because
Right.
you're asking for directions, and if that person hasn't been to where you want to get to, then that's two blind people leading each other around.
Right. So that's definitely a question that you need to ask. Like, have you worked in this industry? Have you succeeded? Have you failed in this industry when looking for a
Right.
specific business coach?
Yeah.
You have been a business coach, a business mentor, David, for several years now. What would you say is your personal intention in this space?
My biggest kick, what I enjoy the best,
Mm-hmm.
is when I'm talking with the client and I say something and the light bulb goes off.
The
Yeah,
aha moment that Oprah says.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And the money is good, but I don't do it for the money. Uh, I do it to help other people grow their businesses.
Okay.
And that kind of sounds altruistic, but most small business owners have no clue. They're just doing what they've always done,
Mm-hmm.
whether it works or not. And I mean, I can come in and look at somebody's business and tell them within an hour where they're missing $50,000 just
Wow.
because what they're doing
Yes.
and the process that I have. And so, it it's all a big adventure. It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fun, but that aha moment it is for me the key.
Okay. What are some characteristics that you think a business coach needs to have?
Well, he's got to be good looking.
Absolutely. You got that one, David. You got that one.
Um, what you're hiring a business coach for is his experience.
Uh-huh.
And so that has to be number one. Second thing is, can you get along with this person?
Mm-hmm.
I've been told that I have some rough edges. Sorry, if you can't deal with it, then I'm not your guy.
Yes.
Um, it goes back to relationships. How do you relate to people? See, and in the way that I coach, Crystal, I never say, "Okay, Crystal, you have to do this."
Right.
I make a suggestion.
Yes.
If it resonates with you and you do it, great. If it doesn't, then we need to find something else.
Mm-hmm.
But like even with the way that you start the program, I don't think I said you have to do it. I'm saying
No.
I have a suggestion for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So understanding that where you are in business versus where they are, it's your responsibility to give them a hand up.
Okay.
And if the coach doesn't have that, if they here's the problem today with coaches.
Okay.
Before COVID, there were 2 million coaches on LinkedIn.
Business coaches?
Yeah.
Okay.
After COVID, there were 6 million.
Wow.
Now, did all these new 4 million coaches get trained, learn something new, or whatever? No. They simply got fired and said, well, I can be a coach.
Okay.
So there are a lot of people out there that are calling themselves a coach, but they have no clue about what they're doing.
Right.
And they've gotten a program. And this is what always bothers me is they take the client and they put them in a box. Imagine that. They put them in the program box and they make them go through everything that's in the program. Is that going to help them? Probably. But why spend time working on sales if you're already a good salesperson?
Mm-hmm.
Or why spend time working on the area that you're already good at? It doesn't allow for that. That's why when I work with people, I put them through my close the gap process and we find out where they're lacking and where they're good.
Right. Talk to me a little bit, David, about women who shy away in business. Why do you think that is? And how can women overcome that?
Okay, I'm not being misogynistic about this.
Okay. Yes.
However, most women don't have the self-belief that most men have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. And 75% of my clients are women. So I know what I'm talking about. They didn't grow up having belief in themselves. Whereas most guys, I mean, king of the world, I can do anything, that whole self belief. With guys, they never had to learn it. It was almost like imprinted on them.
Mm-hmm.
But women don't have that self belief. The biggest thing for me is to get them to believe in themselves.
Okay.
And I mean, I have a couple clients that 4 years ago she was going to quit her job or quit her business, and we had a long talk. and now she's doing great. But it's one of those things that she needed to take someone else's belief in her.
Yes.
And so what the coach does is say, here, borrow my belief. And that helps them believe in themselves. And once they do a little thing, it starts building. And then it just keeps going and going because they're continually seeing, hey, I can do this.
Mm-hmm. You have, and I feel like before I get to this next question, it's like you're saying, borrow my faith in you, borrow my belief in you until you can get your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even when people are deciding if they want to work with me, I tell them, you have to take a step of faith because you have to have the faith in me that I'm going to be able to do for you what you need.
Yeah.
See, and there's nothing guaranteed, but if you have faith in yourself and then faith in me, we can make it happen.
Together.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. The coach is in the background doing all the hard work, helping you shine on your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all the background work. And then the more that you get better doing every podcast, right?
Yes.
Same thing with that belief in yourself.
Yes. Okay, a couple more questions, David, before we wrap it up. You do
already?
An online, huh?
Already?
I know the time has gone by so fast. Listen, we were like in the middle of the podcast, and I was just like, well, let me see how long it's been. It was 38 minutes. I was like, we just started talking. How is it 38 minutes already? Like the time went by so fast, which is a testament to you. You've been amazing. You've been amazing on this podcast.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it. Okay. What are those questions?
Okay. So you have an online coaching through chaos?
Yeah. We meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday
Mm-hmm.
at 8 a.m. Arizona time.
Okay.
It's free to attend. It's on Zoom. We have people, most people are from the Arizona area, but we have a couple people in California, a couple of people sometimes come in from Washington. Anybody's welcome to come and see what we do. Friday is Funky Friday, so one of my guys brings the funk, and so we have a little fun with that. But the whole idea is to learn and network in a fun environment.
Okay. And how long is that? How long is it? 1 hour, 30 minutes?
It's 1 hour. And like one of my clients said, come when you can, and a little is better than none. So we have people that come in, halfway through or come in for the last 10 minutes. So, and we talk about different things about running your business.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody would be welcome to that. I can give you that information if you want to put that.
And what I'll do is whenever you send me that information, I'll make sure and put it in the description box so people can, click on it. But also, I'm assuming if people wanted that information, they can reach out to you on LinkedIn or Facebook as well, David, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is your, I'm assuming, is it David Hepburn Jr. on LinkedIn and Facebook if they are searching for you?
Correct. Yeah. So I have the JR in there because even in the Scottsdale area, there are 4 other David Hepburns that aren't me.
Okay. It's a popular name.
I guess.
Yes. Okay, David. So my last question for you for this podcast, who do you think would make a great guest on the podcast? But you have to help me get them on.
Oh, that'll be easy. Um, I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
Jerice Kelly,
Okay.
um, who is a specialist in a couple of things, but she does genealogy, and she's also an event planner. And then another one would be my DJ client, and his name is Scott Favor.
Okay.
And he would be a hoot for you to have on the show.
Wonderful. I'm always looking for hoots for the podcast. Well, this comes to the end of our podcast. David, you have been so great. You have given me so many aha moments and like fearful moments too, all under an hour.
Well, thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate the opportunity and glad to express some of the knowledge that I have. And, if it helps somebody, that's great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And to all of my listeners, to all of my viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. You can get David's podcast and all of my other podcasts on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And always remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.
Woo!